Aloha, everyone. We're back. Third time's the charm. We're gonna try to get Skipper Cristian in on here on this live stream. I think I see him there. An invite. There he is.
Hey, there we go.
How's it going, dude?
Fantastic. I apologize for all the technical difficulties.
No worries, dude. It's good to have you. Skipper Cristian is in the house.
It's a pleasure to be here. And man, I've been looking forward to this. This is going to be great. Yeah, man. It's the season. It's Halloween, one of my favorite seasons. So, man, I love getting a chance to chat with Ohana, especially this one. Man, I love your show. So
A fellow tiki enthusiast.
that's right. That's
Every
right.
time I go to Trader Sam's, somehow Skipper Cristian is behind the bar. And I love it, dude.
Oh, I'm lucky enough to get a chance to be there. Thank you, man.
So you guys just dealt with the whole Gargoyle release, right?
Yeah, man. Probably the biggest release since since some of the ones you see behind me right here. These are all previous ones. But yeah, this guy right here, the half box ghost. You remember that?
Yeah.
Nothing since then has sold like that. And this guy right here disappeared in 36 hours. It was insane. Absolutely insane.
Did you make space for him on your shelf? It was looking pretty full the last time I talked with you.
Hold on one second. I'm going to adjust the camera here. Did you ask me if I've made this drink before on the show?
No. So I was wondering if you made space on your shelf, because I know you have the whole Trader Sam's Haunted Mansion mug shelf, but I didn't know if the Gargoyle would fit.
I change it throughout the season. You'll see different mugs up there throughout the season, but during Halloween I pull out the big guns, the ones my favorites, the Halloween mugs. Sorry about that. We're screwing in the ooh.
It's the ghost of Skipper Cristian.
Right. So yeah, man, these things were crazy. I was lucky enough. Thank you, honey. I was lucky enough to get the opportunity to come up with the cocktail for it, which is called the Stone Watcher. It's a really interesting cocktail with coconut and some bitters and lemon and chartreuse. And yeah, I'll be doing a tutorial on that on our Halloween episode of Adventures with Alchemy, my YouTube channel. So
I love it. Sometimes the cocktails, particularly at a Disney World, that coincide with the mug releases are not always so great. So I know I have seen Jay McGuire post many times on Facebook like, hey, I would love to pick up mugs for people, but I'm reaching my tolerance level of whatever this drink is. I did not have that experience with your cocktail for the Gargoyle mug. How do you go about making a cocktail for a Trader Sam's release?
So what happens is the managers put the word out to our lead bartenders, and usually they'll tell us as a team, especially those of us that like to make cocktails. They'll ask us and say, hey, this particular release is coming soon, or this particular season is coming soon. So if you're interested in putting a cocktail out, submit a couple recipes and we'll take it from there. So usually 4 or 5 of us will release a couple of different ideas, and we'll do a bunch of tastings, and in the end we'll pick 2 or 3 and we'll go with that. Then it comes into naming it. Then you have to come up with a name. So you usually want to come up with about 4 or 5 names, because a bunch of them might get rejected. Corporate is kind of picky
about a little bit strict about that.
Oh yeah, you can't name a drink like after a character or that directly. For example, I wanted to call this drink Higatus Figatus, and Higatus Figatus is a direct quote from The Sword and the Stone, which is one of my favorite Disney movies of all time.
Yeah.
They said no to that very quickly, and I honestly wasn't sure if they were going to catch it, but when they did, I was actually kind of impressed.
So now do you say the Stone Watcher?
The Stone Watcher, and basically what happens to a gargoyle in the day turns to stone and watches, So the Stone Watcher, very good drink. If you get a chance, try. If you're ever at Trader Sam's in Anaheim, Just ask for the stone watcher. Any one of the bartenders know how to make it.
So
But
even though
yeah,
the mug has sold out, they can still get the stone watcher.
yeah, yeah. As long as we have the ingredients, it's not a problem. And it's not a hard drink to make, as you will see on our next episode. It's a pretty easy drink to make as long as you have the ingredients. You know,
And your episodes, they go to it's Adventures with Alchemy, right?
Adventures with Alchemy on YouTube. Yeah,
Perfect. And do they have an Instagram too?
yeah.
Yeah.
Adventures with
Okay.
Alchemy. Yep.
How soon do skippers find out when there's going to be a mug release? Like, how much notice do you have?
It's different. Sometimes we hear about it months in advance. Sometimes we hear about it a month in advance. It just depends. Now, I'm sure the managers probably know much further ahead than we do, but they know that if they tell us don't say anything, if they tell us be quiet, we say yes, sir. We be quiet. You know what I mean? But for the most part, it's just better for no one to know for a long time until it's time because things leak. As you can see with anything, when there's major interest in something, information leaks, so just look at the new Spider-Man movie. So it's crazy. That's how crazy it is. Like they want to protect them, so they want that element of surprise. They want people to be, what's the next mug, when's it coming, even as bartenders, we're collectors too, so they keep it
And
kind
it
of a
builds
secret.
up the hype. I mean, that's
Yeah,
honestly
exactly.
that's how they move 5,004. I think it's 5,004 mugs in essentially a day, which is just
Right.
ridiculous.
Right. It's crazy, man. It's absolutely crazy. And it's funny because I'll get a chance to see people I haven't seen in so long, maybe because they just come at night or whatever the case may be. But I'll see regulars that I haven't seen in 2 years, and I'm like, oh my God, it's super fun, man. I enjoy those releases. I'm hoping that next year we have a couple more releases that aren't just, Halloween and whatever the case may be. I'm hoping that we can get a couple of new editions of maybe the Shipwreck, the Krakatoa is due for a new one.
Yeah.
There's a few mugs that have had a few years now without a new edition, and we think it's about time.
Is there?
You know,
Do they kind of like wait for inventory to dwindle? You think? And then that's when it's
I don't
like,
think
bam.
I don't, honestly don't know because if they really wanted, in those kinds of cases, they'll tell us, hey, push it, push it, push it, push it. So far, no one said, hey, push it, push it, push it, push it.
Dude, what is happening right now?
So, the other thing I'm doing on the Halloween episode is how to make your own Ecto Cooler. You remember Ecto Cooler, the Ghostbusters drink from
Do
High
I
C?
ever? That's one of my favorite Halloween movies. I watch it every year.
Right. So I was like, I got to make that, man. So I went and a good buddy of mine provided me with a can that he had. And I looked at the ingredients and I'm like, it's just tangerine juice and orange juice with some food coloring and I'm like, hey, let's make I don't know, an amped up one. So
Is that an alcoholic Ecto Cooler? Is that what
yeah,
it's?
I call it Funky Cold Medina. It
I
looks like a
love it,
Funky
man.
Cold Medina. So yeah, I put a little bit of melon liqueur, a little bit of gin, and a little chartreuse, some lemon, and yeah, a little bit of Ecto Cooler. And there you go. Well, homemade Ecto Cooler. This actually has like fresh tangerine, fresh orange juice. It does have food coloring, but it's using fresh ingredients. It's not as sweet as like a straight Ecto Cooler. It's got a lot more tang to it, which I love. And yeah, dude, a little bit of dry ice. Now, I wouldn't serve it like this to a customer because that's dangerous. There are actual little sticks that are made of plastic, and they actually glow in the dark. You can encase the dry ice in those and just put them in the drink, and there's no problem.
Does that still make the fog?
Yeah, that's what's making that bubble up like that is dry ice.
Wow, that's
I'm not.
crazy. Dude, I love how you constantly bring like science into your cocktails. How did you become so passionate about cocktails?
Um, I think just like yeah, it's a good question. I really like that question. I think just the more I learned, the more passionate I got about it. It started really with an interest in food. I've always loved working in restaurants. I kind of knew from the first time, from my first restaurant job, I kind of knew that was something that I wanted to do, that I wanted to own a restaurant or be it just fit. really, really well to me. It felt very natural. And I thought I was going to be a chef, honestly. I started getting into the kitchen, and I started studying the kitchen more and more and more. But I'm an extrovert. I love people, and I like being around people. And I kind of learned that the hard way. Working in the kitchen, the chefs would be like, dude, you talk too much. You should be in the front,
You,
Uh,
there's
so,
a profession for that, and it's bartending.
right. So I did my due diligence. I learned as much as I could in the kitchen. I actually went to culinary school, and I did about 7 years behind the bar. Then I went to culinary school after I finished my associates in City College, and then I learned more about the kitchen. So when I went to culinary school, that's what really, really inspired me into the next level of bartending. I used to think bartending was really cool. There was a lot to it, and sommeliering was cool, and there was a lot of information. But I never truly realized the history behind all of it, the culture behind all of it, the different styles in different countries, and when you start mixing different, and then of course the science aspect, molecular mixology, molecular food, and things of that nature. I loved Ferran Adria and El Bulli and the Rocas and molecular cuisine, and so just the combination of learning all that stuff and then working in a tiki bar where it's all about quality and ingredients and passion, it just all fit very, very well. And it's just the more I learn, the more I love it, and the more I want to share.
What was your first bartending gig? Was it Trader Sam's?
No, no, my first hi son. My first bartending gig was actually at a Brazilian steakhouse called Samba in my hometown of Fresno. It no longer exists, unfortunately, but it was around for a good 10, 11 years. I had a good run. I worked with a bunch of Brazilians, really cool guys from Rio, and I started off as what's called a gaúcho, which is where you cut the meat for people. If you ever gone to a Brazilian steakhouse, they
Yep.
bring you all these different kinds of meat to your table, and they cut it at your table for you. Well, that's what I used to do, and then from there I became a server, and from there I got an opportunity to be a bar back, and I never thought I was ever going to end up being in the bar. I became a bar back for about a year, and then got promoted to bartender, and I was a bartender for about 5, 6 years. The owner of that restaurant owned a club, so I got to do club bartending as well. And then, all that time I was going to school, and I finished my, my couple years in city, and me and my wife had a talk. We were like, I've always had this dream of going to culinary school, and she was like, let's do that. Let's get out of Fresno. Let's go to Southern California, and been here ever since.
How did you end up at Trader Sam's?
So after culinary school, at the end, I had to do an internship somewhere, a practice and externship, and it came down to Disney, Vegas, or Sandals. And because we had just gotten married not long before my internship, we decided that we're getting married. We already have a place in Southern California. We're planning on having kids. We love Disney, and we wouldn't mind kind of raising them in that culture. And so I came home, and my internship was in Florida, so I finished in Florida, came home, and stayed in the kitchen and knocked on Disney's door until they answered. I was aiming for a different position. I was aiming for a cook position at Napa Rose.
Okay.
They didn't need me with my experience. It wasn't nowhere near good enough. They were like, you have like 3 years in cooking and you have like 7 years of bartending. Maybe you should try this place. And so they told me about Trader Sam's, which wasn't even a year old yet. Me and my wife went to sit down and have a drink there, and we're like, all right, let's do it. And before I knew it, I fell in love with the place. It became my home. And now it's been almost 10 years now.
I love it, dude.
Yeah.
People that are passionate where they work.
It's awesome.
How was it so you bartended before, how different was it working with rum? Was it just like an easy transition, or was it a totally different?
I think it was the only part of rum. Well, see, my full experience has always been with rum, because in Brazilian steakhouses, you're working with agricole, you're working with cachaça,
Okay.
A lot of caipirinhas, a lot of mojitos, a lot of muddling, I cut and prep more limes in those 6, 7 years than I think I ever will in my entire life. Like, we're talking cases and cases and cases a day. And yeah, it was a good foundation to have because I never used sweet and sour. I never used anything that wasn't from the fruit itself because in Brazil, that's what it's like. They don't know what sweet and sour is in Brazil. You know,
Yep.
they're doing that to run a business, but the fact is everything is fresh squeezed. You know, so um, you make a lemon drop. You would fresh squeeze your lemon juice. You get your citron vodka in there, a little simple, and boom, there's your lemon drop. There's no need for sweet and sour or anything else. So I learned that way. That was the way I learned. And so um, when you step into other bars and you start seeing all these premixes and things, that used to kind of I didn't understand it. I'm like, why do we do it this? Why are you doing it that way and not doing it this way? And people would look at me like a snob, like, oh, dude, you're working too hard, And I'm like, you're not working hard enough. So, and it's nice because at Trader Sam's, that's the standard. We know there's a certain expectation, and we have that same expectation, and we get upset if we can't deliver that expectation. We take it personal. So we all care. If you see us frustrated for something, it's probably because there's something inhibiting us from giving you the experience that we want to give you. So that's the only thing I can think of, but for the most part, that's my favorite thing about Sam's is that everybody is on the same level about the quality of what we do.
Yep. You can tell that from every skipper that they're super passionate about what they do, and it's not just a job; it's something that they care about
Yeah.
very deeply. And I think it shows. I mean, Trader Sam's is an amazing experience. It has its own ambiance, it has its own special effects, it has its own presentation. But at the end of the day, people are going there for the skippers. They're going there for the bartenders that make their experience so amazing. So
We
your passion
appreciate
definitely
you.
shows, man. I love it.
Have you been
When
recently?
what?
Have you been recently since we reopened?
Yes, I have.
That's right.
I had the pleasure of being there a few weeks ago.
That's right. I was gonna say,
And
wait, I sworn
yeah,
that
my
we did
stool
that.
was shrinking thanks to you. Which I
They
didn't
finally
realize
gave
is
me.
that I've only been there a limited number of times, but there's more than one uh, shrinking stool.
So you remember how I was doing the water when you were there? How I was kind of like cupping it in my hand and throwing it at
Yeah.
people because I didn't have a bottle. They gave us the bottle back. They finally gave us the
Oh,
bottle
nice.
back, man. I can finally spray people again, right? The correct
Rejoice.
way.
You couldn't
Oh,
like go to a supermarket and pick up a bottle, or were they like you're not allowed to use a bottle?
so that was the thing. We weren't allowed to. We weren't allowed to do. We weren't supposed to be doing any sort of spraying of water or anything on the guests, but people were like, "Why? Like this? That's not the. I want this experience. Like this is." How am I going to go to Trader Sam's and not? It's like going on Pirates and not doing the dip. You know what I mean? It's just that you're
Yeah.
missing something. So I oblige, man. I felt the same way. So I was like, I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do until I get in trouble, and then when I get in trouble, well, then I'll stop. But I never got in trouble, thank God, yet.
I think it's an all or nothing experience. If you're able to open up and have people in a bar experience, you should be able to spray them with water. That's how I feel about it.
The
Uh,
expectation,
but I'm so excited that Trader Sam's is back. It took a
man.
very long time. How was it when you got the call?
Oh man, it was like I was happy. I couldn't be happier because I was at my wit's end. I wanted to go back to work, and it's hard when you see the world starting to open up and you want to join in, you want to get into that. At the same time, you really want to be safe. But yeah, when I heard the call, I was anxious. Bartending to me is like my sport, and I miss playing my sport. So I was very happy to receive that call. I was very excited.
Was it
Yeah.
hard to is it like riding a bicycle? You just remembered right away how to make all the cocktails, or did you have to work at it?
Yeah, there's things I made sure, and most of us did too. We have our little notebooks where we wrote in some of those drinks that we knew we hadn't practiced in a while. A lot of the old Don the Beachcomber stuff, a lot of the Trader Vic stuff. I hadn't made a three dots and a dash in like a year, so I had to make sure that I had all, the right. I knew what the recipe. I mean, I knew what the ingredients were. It was just a matter of the ingredients being right. Same thing with the Navy grog. Same thing with a few different drinks. The part that was hard was getting physically back into rhythm. Doing the actual job wasn't hard. That was like riding a bicycle, but lasting through a whole shift, lasting through a full 5 days of Trader Sam's. Like, that's still kind of hard. Like, it's not easy. It takes a physical toll on you. And if you don't take care of yourself properly, it'll beat you down, you know? So it was kind of like finding that rhythm again, finding the right sleep schedule again, eating the right stuff again, getting back into the listening to your body, you know, things like that.
How long is a shift at Trader Sam's?
It can be anywhere from 8 hours to 16 hours, depending on what's going on. Depending on what's going on. It's not unheard of that a person opens and closes, you know, and they never make any of us. It's always optional. They'll say, hey, do you want to work a double? Or, hey, can you stay for an extra 2 or 3 hours and help us out? But the show must go on. So people do stay. I mean, Kelly, if you've ever met Kelly, Kelly's there a lot. So is Nate. So is, I mean, those guys, they live there, you know?
It's like clockwork there. Y'all have it down to a system.
It's a machine. It's a machine.
How do you, so like when you shrink me, how do you shrink me?
I can't tell you that. It's Disney magic. It's Disney magic. I don't shrink anybody. The Tiki gods eventually just decide, hey, man, you're going down right now. It has nothing to do with any drinks ordered. That's for sure. It's just randomness. It just happens. You know, there's no bias. There's no bias.
We got the shrinking stools. We got the, I didn't realize for the longest time that the eyeballs moved on things.
They do move. They do move. I think it's one of the poles. I don't know if it's both anymore. Again, I'd have to double check, but yeah, so the masks near the bathroom on the left, there's 2 masks, and both of them, their eyes move. One's really big, and you can see his eyes going in circles, and then the other one, his eyes are metal and round like rings, and they go back and forth like this.
Okay.
Yeah, those guys are still there. Those guys. I don't know if you noticed, but there's been a few changes inside of Trader Sam's. There was a couple
so I noticed the tree changed, which I saw that all over Instagram. I was kind of like, whatever.
Right.
I personally. Say what you want. The people that are watching, I don't mind the new Jungle Cruise.
Right.
I think there may be a lot of monkeys. It seems like their solution to everything was like add more monkeys. I don't know quite why.
There was only one artifact that I missed that is no longer there, and a lot of people didn't even know that it was even there unless, you know, one of us showed it to you. You know, so if you were to walk in through the front door on the far left side, you would see there's like an exit sign right above the doorway where the servers go in and out of. It says skippers only or whatever. There's like a life raft circle right there. And anyway, it's a door for cast members. Right above it, there's an exit sign. And right above that exit sign, there was a box, right? It was a case. And inside that case was a shrunken head. And that shrunken head was Jack Sparrow's mother's head. And there was a letter attached to the head that was it was to Trader Sam from Jack Sparrow thanking him for watching over his mother. And if you shined a black light on that letter, it was a treasure map. It was really cool, really, really cool. And they removed it. And I'm like, I don't quite understand that move, because I don't know if you've seen any of our Tiki mugs, but one of them is a shrunken zombie head. So
well, they changed the name of that too, right?
Right.
I don't know if changing the name of it really fixes it.
So maybe we don't call it a shrunken head then. I don't know. Could we just change the name and kept Mom's head there? I don't know. It was just such a cool prop, you know.
How, like, did you have people coming in with black lights? Like, how do people even know that?
No, but there would be people who I would show that to, right? And then the next time come back with a black light and do it, and then see it for themselves. We have regulars. I mean, we have regulars that come once a week, once every 2 weeks. You know, it happens.
Has pretty much everybody came back after COVID?
Yeah, everybody's back. Everybody's back. Even the part-timers are back. Everybody got called back. Even the ones that got laid off got called back. We have a lot of new faces. So cast members from, say, a restaurant that no longer exists, like Steakhouse 55. They're cast members that wanted to keep going. They stayed. They're with us now. So yeah, it's great. It's great to see people that want to work are working, are making their money, and those that want to be safe are being safe. So I mean, everybody seems to be happy and at least on the path that they want to be on. So thank goodness for that. You know, and the guests, I've seen 99.9% of all our regulars. I think maybe one or two people I haven't seen yet. It's only because they come at night more than they do in the day.
I'm sure they couldn't wait.
Oh, neither
Dude,
could
as
we.
soon as that bell went off, Trader Sam's is open.
It was
It was like,
emotional. It was emotional
it
walking
was,
in there.
and you know, it's kind of a weird thing because I have very little. I'm on the East Coast. I live in New Hampshire. I love Trader Sam's, but my opportunities to go to Trader Sam's are pretty limited. With that said, I love tiki. I love tiki mugs. I love all of these small independent artists that put their heart into making mugs.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's crazy the amount of influence that Trader Sam's and Enchanted Tiki Bar has on the industry overall. Like, it's weird that a Disney bar can close for a year and it affects the skippers, it affects the patrons, but it's affecting like the entire industry overall. All of those small, local, independent artists that make these fantastic mugs that we love collecting. So it was
Right.
like,
And
oh,
paintings and music and who doesn't
yeah,
like going to see the Hula Girls play live? I mean, there's the subculture of tiki is so strong, and especially out here in Southern California, man. Like it's like a religion out here. It's crazy. Like I love it because the sense of family, the sense of ohana is very strong. Um, and the support when we shut down, there was so much support out there from people like you that reached out to us and were like, "Hey, how you doing? Are you okay? You want to get some exposure while you're at home." And that kind of stuff helped a lot, what I mean, because it told people, "Hey, we're still here. We're still around. We're still doing stuff. We're not just sitting around playing Call of Duty, at least not every day. We're actually still doing things." And some of us were working on books. Some of us were doing the YouTube thing. Some of us were doing catering. So, I mean, it was really cool. It was really cool to see kind of each skipper do get into their own element and do their own thing. And the support, like I said, the support was overwhelmingly amazing. Right? The love out there was just, I, I never truly understood just how much love there was for us. I think until the pandemic. The pandemic really, really just, I didn't know what to say. It was just wow.
how long was Trader Sam's closed?
15, 16 months.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, yeah. It was
Like, did you see it coming? Did
no,
you know?
sort of. I mean, like you see the world kind of start to shut down, and you see like some of my more health conscientious friends were already kind of getting scared, and I guess I could be a little cocky sometimes. I didn't think it was gonna go the way it went. Um, in fact, me and Roy, we were doing a guest bartending gig in Arizona at the Undertow. Um, and at first we were like, okay, this is going to be fun. This is going to be great. Then suddenly, a few days before, suddenly everything starts shutting down. We still go. We do the event. It sells out. Everything was off the hook. But then the very next day, everything shut down, including Disneyland. So the people at Disneyland, like our coworkers, didn't know until that day, that this was going to happen, and nobody knew how long this was going to happen for. So it was
Yeah.
just one day they went into work. They're like, you know what, guys, shut everything down. They're sending everybody home right now, like in
I
the
think at
middle
the
of the.
time it was like 2 weeks.
Mm,
It was like, hey, we're going to shut down for 2 weeks.
right, right.
No, 16
Everybody at first
months
was
is
like, "Oh,
a
nice
huge leap
vacation,
from two
yeah."
weeks.
Yeah, at first people were like, "Oh, cool, yeah," and then they realized it kept going and going and going and going, and you either started making plans from that point on, or you sat there and you watched your phone every single day, you know. So
But
it was crazy.
out of the fire, I think came something good. Adventures with Alchemy. That was a
Yeah,
project that started over the pandemic, right?
that's right. That's right. It was a project of love between me and my wife. We just, we put the kids to bed, or when we have a little free time, we get a chance to work on that together. She is amazing with the camera and a genius with a computer. So she is a lot more efficient, a lot faster than I am by far. So I like to like write the scripts and set up and do the drinks and I want to do this and that, and I'm all over the place with my ideas and episode this and this episode and that episode and things like that. I want this type of look, maybe this type of angle, blah 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 blah. I'm just a big pain in the ass. And she makes it happen. She makes it happen. She's incredible. So, and it's fun. I get a chance to kind of work with my wife, and you know, kids are sleeping. We get to hang out together, have a cup of coffee, and just kind of do something together that we can be proud of. You know.
I love it. It's
Yeah.
fantastic,
Thank
man.
you.
I have loved watching Adventures with Alchemy. You have a new episode coming out, I think you mentioned.
Yep. Halloween. Either
So it's on Halloween night?
we're aiming for Halloween Eve. We're aiming for the 30th. So 30th, possibly the 31st, but no later than that. I would like to give people, and my wife made actually a really good point. We're going to give people, at least try to give people enough time to be able to make these things at home for Halloween. You know, because if I give it to them the night of Halloween, you don't have time to make it anymore. So you have to wait till next Halloween. So mine's trying to do it before so that you can do it the night of. You know, so we'll see.
I love it, man. So people, if they go to YouTube, they subscribe to is it Adventure Space with Alchemy?
Nope, it's all one word. Adventures with Alchemy.
Alchemy, okay.
Yeah,
And
yeah. If you go to YouTube and you just type that in, you'll see. We'll pop up. You'll see like one of our episodes that gets the most hits are like our episode about absinthe, our episode about non-alcoholic cocktails. We do a lot of top 10 videos, like top 10 falernums and how to make it at home, top 10 orgeat and how to make it at home. To kind of inform you for your own home bar, you know, things like that.
who has a home bar? I love it. Dude, it has been a pleasure, truly, talking to you. Skipper
Pleasure's
Cristian,
all mine.
I'm sure there are other skippers watching, but you are my favorite skipper. You're always making me cocktails. Thank you so much for joining us on 13 Nights of Tiki Frights. For the second year in a row, you are the only guest that we are having as a repeat guest, and that's because we love having you on the show. So thank you, man. Thank you for being a skipper and keeping the Trader Sam stream alive. We appreciate you. We love your cocktails. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you, brother. Thank you for having me. It's been nothing short of a pleasure, and I look forward to any chance we get a chance to do this. You know, I love talking to you. You know, so have a happy Halloween. Oh, absolutely. Anytime.
Happy Halloween, dude.
Happy Halloween,
Follow
guys.
Adventures with Alchemy on YouTube. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Mahalo. Have a good night.
Bye.